Hey everybody, I'm Matt, and I'm the youth pastor here at Glad Tidings Church, and we're here at week 3 of our series, "What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do." So thanks for joining us. We got Abby and Emma and Matt gonna do some worship for us now, and so hope you'll join with us for that and for the series afterwards. And yeah, I think we're gonna have a good time.
If you've been walking the same old road for miles and miles, if you've been hearing the same old voice tell the same old lies, if you're trying to fill the same old holes inside, there's a better life, there's a better life. If you've got pain
So, when you don't know how to do something, how to fix something, or how something works, what do? Ask a teacher? Ask your parents? Ask your friends? Ask someone you really know and trust? No, you go to the internet and ask some randos. But I'm not talking about creeps here, I hope. No, I mean the people of the internet! You know, those people who make how-to videos. Because chances are, if you're trying to figure out something, someone on the internet has already figured it out for you. Things like, how do I unsend a text? No. How do I do a winged eyeliner? How do I get rid of the zit by Friday night? How do I get out of gym class? How do I screen cap Snapchat without getting caught? They'll never know. But then there are things in life that don't have an easy fix, that don't have a simple solution, that don't have a how-to video. Things like what to do when you have problems with family, or when it seems like you have no control in your life, or what to do when someone has done something to you. I mean, clearly, they gotta go. The truth is, there's a lot of life that doesn't have a solution you can just find online. So how do you know what to do when you don't know what to do?
Not long ago, I was at the grocery store. I was just there to pick up a few essential items. And about halfway to my car, I noticed a $20 bill on the ground. Now feel free to judge me all you want, but these are some of the thoughts that were running through my mind. Just ignore it and leave it, because whoever dropped it is gonna come back and look for it. Take it. It is your lucky day and God gave you a special $20 bill from heaven. It's the parking lot. It's not like somebody dropped it by the register. If it were that big of a deal, they wouldn't have dropped it to begin with. You need to take this inside and give it to a manager because someone's gonna come looking for it. $20 bills is a lot of money, but it's not like someone dropped a stack of cash or their wallet. Who cares if you take it? Y'all, I had all the thoughts. Plus, I was in a rush. So with all of these options, the question that was blaring in my mind was, what is the right thing to do? What a dilemma. I mean, what would you do in this situation? Now, some of you would confidently say, I would take it to the manager. That's the right thing to do. And others of you would say, take the money. It's not a big deal. Finders keepers. Now, sometimes knowing the right thing to do, it just isn't simple in the moment. Ultimately, I decided to take the money to the customer service desk. But at that time, I just didn't know what to do. That's what we're talking about in this series. What to do when you don't know what to do. Now today, we're gonna look at the dilemma of what to do when you don't know what is right and what is wrong. It seems like doing the right thing should be clear and obvious, right? But we all know that isn't always the case. I mean, there's a reason why doing the right thing can be so difficult. Sometimes the right thing isn't obvious. It's like me standing in the parking lot, staring at a $20 bill, wondering if I took it, would it be like receiving a gift from God, or would it be like stealing? I mean, sometimes right or wrong isn't that clear. We see this play out all the time. Like if you're dating somebody, but you're texting somebody else a lot, and you're like, well, I'm not cheating on anyone, we're just texting, it's not wrong, right? Or is it? Or if you have a friend who's doing something that really bothers you and you don't know if you should talk to them about it or not, and you're wondering, if I confront them, am I just gonna look like a total jerk? I mean, is this my issue? Is this their issue? Should I just get over it? Now in both examples, you feel the same thing. The right thing isn't always obvious. And doing the right thing can also be difficult because sometimes the right thing costs us something. When I decided to return the $20 bill to customer service, I knew it would cost me something. For one, time, because I had to go all the way back in the store and have a conversation. But it also cost me the 20 bucks that could have been mine. You know what it feels like when the right thing to do costs you something. Maybe you know the right thing is to be honest with your parents, but if you're honest with them, you're probably gonna get grounded. Maybe for the rest of your life. You know the right thing isn't to go to that party, but if you don't go, you're gonna miss out, and y'all, the FOMO is real. You know that the right thing isn't to be in that relationship, but if you break up, you're gonna be single and alone. And sometimes doing the right thing costs you something. Sometimes the right thing is just no fun. There are moments when doing what's right isn't easy or exciting or even interesting. For example, you know the right thing is to babysit your younger siblings, but honestly, you don't want to do it because they are so annoying. You know the right thing isn't to let somebody cheat off of your test, but if you say no, then somehow you wind up feeling like a loser. You know the right thing is to decline when someone offers you a drink, but it seems like everybody else who's drinking is having fun, and why do you have to be so boring? You see what I mean? Sometimes what's right feels complicated, and even when we do know what's right, sometimes it's difficult to actually do it. So with that in mind, let's pick back up with the story of Joseph. Now for the past 2 weeks, we have been on a wild journey with a boy who was sold into slavery by his own brothers. Now, even though we may not be able to relate to his specific circumstances, his life story has so much that we can apply to our own lives. And what we're going to look at today can be a game changer for all of us. It'll help us to know what to do when we don't know what to do. We left off last week with Joseph sold into slavery. We pick up this week with what happened afterwards. We're told Joseph was given to work in the house of an officer of Pharaoh. Now, Pharaoh was like a king and an emperor and a president all rolled into one. Whatever Pharaoh said, that's what happened, period. So you can imagine how working for one of Pharaoh's important officials was kind of stressful. Depending on the situation, it could go really, really well, or it can go really, really bad. And there was no telling what kind of situation that Joseph was about to walk into. But, like we mentioned last week, the author was quick to point out that God was with Joseph and that Joseph had favor with the official, whose name was Potiphar. That means that Potiphar was a fan of Joseph's. So now let's pick up the story. The Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord gave him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. From the time he put him in charge of his household and of all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. So Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. With Joseph in charge, he did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. Things aren't so bad for Joseph because Potiphar trusts him. And things aren't so bad for Potiphar because with Joseph in charge, he is thriving. And then things take a really weird turn. Now Joseph was well built and handsome, and after a while his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." Now this tells us two things. One, apparently Joseph was kinda hot. Two, that his boss's wife noticed how hot he was. Now, this is where things get a little complicated because Joseph was a slave. He was obligated to not only obey Potiphar, but also obey his wife. And if he refused her commands, there was nothing holding her back from punishing him. I mean, it could cost him his status as a slave in their household, which was a much better household than the others, or it could even cost him his life. But if he did what she asked, that would create a whole other set of problems. I mean, she was married to his boss. Both options came with problems. It wasn't easy and it wasn't clear. There was no obvious answer. So what did Joseph do when he didn't know what to do? But he refused. "With me in charge," he told her, "my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you because you are his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. Basically, out of respect for Potiphar and out of an even bigger respect for God, Joseph simply did the next right thing. He didn't make a decision based on the consequences he might face because of his decision, like losing his job or even his life. He made a decision based on what was right. And what was right was turning down Potiphar's wife. It was complicated, it was challenging, but it was the right thing to do. And the thing is, it wasn't exactly like his life was perfect as a result of making the right choice. In fact, things got worse. I mean, Potiphar's wife falsely accused Joseph of rape. Potiphar believed his wife and had Joseph thrown into prison. It's not exactly the happy ending you're hoping for when you do the right thing, but Joseph didn't make his decision based on what it might mean for him. He did what was right, regardless of the outcome. Now, the outcome for Joseph in the situation wasn't great, but there's a word I want you to know that changes everything when it comes to the whole doing what's right dilemma, and that word is integrity. Maybe you've heard this word before. Integrity means doing what's right regardless of the outcome. It means choosing what's right no matter what. Sometimes doing the right thing will get you an applause, and sometimes it won't. Sometimes doing the right thing will cost you something, and sometimes it won't. Sometimes doing the right thing will be empowering, and sometimes it won't. We don't always know how choosing to do the right thing will play out, but having integrity in our decision making leaves room for fewer regrets long term. Chances are we are never going to find ourselves in the kind of situation that Joseph was in. But we will probably all find ourselves at a crossroads at some point where we will have to decide what to do without knowing how it's going to play out. It could go better than we thought, it could go worse than we thought. But when we make our decisions with integrity, based off of what is right and not off of what the outcome will be, we are living lives we can be proud of. So here's one thing we can remember. When you don't know what to do the next right thing. So try this. First, think of one situation where you feel stuck at a crossroads. What decision or choice causes you to feel stressed or anxious? So think about that, and then second, figure out what is the next right thing for you. Here's the deal. We all sit here in church and decide we're gonna do the next right thing, and then we leave and find ourselves in the situation to do it, and we don't. And that's because actually doing the next right thing is very often difficult. And because that's true, here are 2 bonus steps to make sure this thing really sticks. Bonus step 1, tell somebody the next right thing you're gonna do. And bonus step 2, invite them to ask you this week if you did it. That's how we live lives of integrity, knowing the next right thing and then doing the next right thing, and inviting someone else to come alongside us. Doing the next right thing doesn't have to be the sad, lonely venture, so invite someone into your story. There is strength that shows up when you allow someone to show up with you. And there is nothing about Joseph's decision that was easy, and there's nothing about the outcome that was good. But that doesn't mean that every right decision leads to a difficult outcome, and there's just no way of knowing that sometimes. But what we do know is that God is with us no matter how things go, and that makes any outcome so much more bearable. So as you head out, think about a situation where you need to do the next right thing. Think about exactly what you need to do, but just know, you do not have to do this alone. You can tap into the help of God and the help of others. So when you don't know what to do the next right thing.
All right, here we are. The $20 bill story, that was a good one in the beginning. Honestly, I'd have all the same thoughts, and I think it'd be probably best to just be able to take the money, but I don't think I could do it. I just never feel like it's mine. I'm like, sure, maybe if it was $100 might be different. See, I couldn't do it though, because then who's going without it, That's what I think. I'm like, who doesn't get to have it now? And I think, what if it was my money? $20 might not be so bad, but I don't like losing any money. So I feel like I would want someone to return it, so I just return it, That's just kind of where I'm at with that. So I thought that was cool to think about, because it's a very good situation of what is really right. I thought her example about friendship is relevant, because our friends often irritate us the closer you get with them, and it's you always wonder about how to address it, and oftentimes I find we don't really address it properly because our emotions we don't know how to handle them well, and then it blows up, and then it turns into something that's bad, and toxic, and then it ruins friendships. And that's not because we should have or shouldn't have. It's because we waited too long to figure it out, and then we just exploded. What seems right and can feel complicated and be really hard to do naturally. I found it hard to do in-person confrontation. So when I knew that I had to, I would honestly always just send a text, because I found it too difficult to actually go to that person and have to deal with their emotion right in front of me. But yeah, it always ends up more stressful anyways. So I'd like to, we're going to go to Joseph. I never really ever seen Joseph's story in the light of what to do when you don't know what to do, but man, it really fits. Now, his situation is super stressful. That, because, the temptation alone is there, but then it's not even just a temptation, this situation. He has so much that riding against it. It's it could lead to his death to say no. And so I think anyone would just spiral out. We often will spiral out with, if I say this, look at this. And oftentimes when we're trying to make decisions of what to do, it's this could lead to this, and this could lead to this, and we make the scenarios in our heads, and it causes stress, and then we're really caught with not knowing what to do. But Joseph, I love when she said it, Joseph just did the next right thing. That's it. Didn't know what it was going to turn out like. He literally could have died from saying no. But then he was just but no is the right answer. So that's it. Whatever comes after that, we'll see. Didn't go good. Got tossed in jail. It's like with the money thing. I bring that money back. I'm like, you know what? Good or bad, I know I made the right call for me. And that's inner peace. It seems more important than having that, than like I could get tossed in jail and have inner peace and feel better than if I did what it was. Like, look at the shame he'd have to live with and the pain he'd have to carry. And I was just like, I did the right thing. Like, and so I even had someone speaking in my life before when I was thinking about jobs and things like that, and if I should finish at a certain place or not. And I was thinking so many ways of how it was wrong and not about what was right. And he was like, well, like, what is the right thing for you to, like, basically, can you stay or should you go? And I was like, essentially, I was like, I don't know, but this, and he's like, just make that decision first, and then whatever comes next, you'll do this same process again. Man, I did it. And it never turned out good right away. A few steps after that, and I was in a lot better place. And you know what, man? I was in a lot better place anyways, because I was at peace in my heart. I didn't have to make every right call, like, right away. I just needed to make the one. And that's what I love that Joseph did on that. That was very practical. Integrity means so much to me, because that to me matters so much more than the cost of doing the right thing. I don't do the right stuff or the right thing because God is going to punish me or something like that. I do it for the same reason I would do it for my wife, my brother, my friends, because I love them and care about them, and because I love God and care about Him, and I have a relationship with Him. And if I avoid my own pain, I never really avoid it. I don't think anyone really avoids it when you know, because if you know in your heart that you made the wrong decision, then you got to live with that. Okay, like here's an example. If I'm getting a lot of text messages at once and conversations are just like every few seconds I'm getting a new text from someone else and I'm trying to do something else, I'll either just stop answering everybody, put my phone away, or completely keep it going, but avoid it completely and do something else on my phone and still avoid the messages. Me avoiding it doesn't fix anything. It gives me more problems, and all I do is feel the weight of how I just dropped everything. And then I end up going into like either watching TV or playing Xbox or doing something that's supposed to be relaxing, but all it does is turn into a distraction away from the guilt and the pain of ignoring people. And so I'm saying that example to say, if you're doing something just to get rid of the pain, for me, it doesn't actually get rid of the pain. It just brings on more pain that is worse. To me, that's the exact same thing as what we're dealing with here. You're in a situation, you don't know what's right. Sure, first of all, you can avoid making a decision, stresses you out. Then you can avoid making the right decision because you can already tell that the pain is going to be more. And that's why I love when Joseph made his decision. I put myself there. I'm like, you know what? Peace in the heart, peace in the mind. That's the most important. I know sometimes it's still going to feel tangly. It's like, oh, what if it seems like when you make the right decision, it's going to be better, and then it turns out worse? I think the peace of heart and the peace of mind is such a huge thing here that if that's something that you struggle with, no guarantee if it's going to turn out good. That's not why you do it. When you don't know what to do, you just do the next right thing. It's so simple, and it can be so important and practical in your life. If you know in your heart, if you don't, talk to someone about it and work it out with them. Don't avoid it, work it out with someone. But if you know in your heart, just do the next right thing. And that's it. That's where you start, and that's what you do. Then when whatever plays out after that, hands down, you'll feel better. Yeah, it's been a good week, guys. Really hit home. Thanks for tuning in with us, guys. See you soon.